Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the conclusion of the weekly comic book roundup, and we'll be covering, excuse me, this week's Spider-Man titles and DC titles. Kicking things off with Black Cat number 12. So where we left off in Black Cat number 11, Black Cat had broken into Stark Unlimited and got everything she needed, got the things she needed, as well as made a cat-themed suit of Iron Man armor, which she began to fight Iron Man with. I think she begins with Stark's head of security, Bethany Cabe, trying to find where Black Cat is. She's 1,000 feet above sea level, throwing down with Iron Man. So, a lot of it is narration about how Stark's been doing the whole thing with flying metal death machines for years, and she's been at it for 7 minutes. But she does explain it's okay because she's a fast learner. Most of the tricky things are already being, are taken care of. Because she is pulling some serious G's somehow. Felicia and Tony banter a bit as the chase continues. And, well, she built some claws into the armor, which she uses to, do some damage to Tony's suit before going to the Upper East Side in the apartment of Odessa Drake, bursting through the window and attacking Odessa, telling her that if Odessa wants war, well, this is what war with her looks like. Odessa, however, is impressed, actually. No one in the world would even think to do what Felicia's doing. Steal an Iron Man suit, attack Odessa in her home, meet her blow for blow. Odessa then adds that Felicia is exactly what the Thieves Guild needs, as Felicia is a thief of supreme skill, impeccable lineage, and obnoxious individualism. But Odessa does know that Felicia likely won't kill her, that she doesn't have the ruthlessness, which, well, Odessa says they'll have to work on that. However, Iron Man has showed up. And, Felicia surrenders, only to reveal that the armor was empty. All being controlled from within Stark's forge. So Felicia takes the security charge she snagged off of Bethany Cabe, lets Firepower out, who was the distraction, and then goes to Ceres' hideout in Paranis, meeting back up with her crew, alluding to a Korean nightmare, which will be covered in the Black Cat Annual. Black Fox is proud of her. Doc wishes she brought the suit with him. But the crew enjoyed dinner. However, it seems there's another cat in town. Someone wearing basically the opposite color scheme as Black Cat. White with black highlights. She throws out a copy of the Daily Bugle saying that this won't do at all. The headline showing Black Cat in her Iron Cat armor, asking, "Black Cat, threat and menace?" That is where the issue ends. And sadly, from the looks of this last page, and the lack of solicits for future issues, it's also where the series ends. As it states, the Black Cat will return in King in Black. Hopefully I'm wrong. Which brings us to Spider-Man, the Black Cat Strikes, number 4. Where we left off, Spider-Man teamed up with his ex, Black Cat, who is back in town and supposedly stealing hard drives for Hammerhead, who claimed to have her child hostage. A child that could very well be Spider-Man's. So Spider-Man agrees to help her, only to realize there was no child, and, well, Black Cat was trying to, rip off Hammerhead. However, Hammerhead thought of this and blew up Black Cat's penthouse, seeming just as Black Cat went inside. So the issue begins with Spidey webbing his way into the burning penthouse to trying to see if Felicia's there. Keep on reminding himself that if anyone could have survived the explosion, it's Felicia, but doesn't seem to find anyone in there. Fire chief orders him out, and he goes. The chief tries to talk to him, but he's not really in a talking mood. MJ meets him. She's sorry, so sorry, and so months pass, or weeks pass. Hammerhead used the stolen intel and capital to blackmail the other Maggia family heads and leveraged that fear to take full control of New York's organized crime. And while Spider-Man was able to save the Maggia Dons from Hammerhead's concrete tomb, the power play was successful. Spidey's been working with Silver Sable. Hammerhead has stolen a Sable International enhancement suit. Captain Watanabe was placed on administrative leave after nearly killing Hammerhead, because she's not fire captain. She's police. And so Peter's still thinking about, Felicia. And the fact that her death didn't really disrupt his routine. And he explained that it's like losing her. Her death is like losing her all over again, and not romantically, but, he's seen her at her best and knew how great she could be, but her darks always won out. And she's dead because he couldn't get there. He couldn't save her from himself. Again. And at about that point, Silver Sable flies by in a gunship going after Hammerhead. So Spidey suits up. Get a bit of a fight, followed by a flashback. And in fact, Black Cat's intuition paid off during that, finding a hole being dug underneath a building, presumably to a tunnel. The fight continues between Hammerhead and Spider-Man with another flashback. They arrive there's a great view in New York that Felicia's rather fond of, and the two apparently had lunch there. Then later on, Spidey shows up at her penthouse, realizing that, Black Cat's been busting jewel thieves, sure, and taking their loot for herself. But the fight between as the fight with between Spidey and Hammerhead in the present continues, Hammerhead seems to kind of have Spidey at an advantage and states that Spidey's harder to kill than the cat. This pushes Peter over the edge, and he basically says, tells him not to, basically, not to ever talk about Black Cat again. But the flashback is interspersed with the finale of the fight is interspersed with the flashback. The thing of it is that Black Cat tried being good, but she can't be as good. But she's not as good at. But she's not good like Peter is. And Spidey's kind of going for broke when it comes to fighting Hammerhead. When Silver gets out of the gunship and starts firing on Hammerhead, when the last minute, the Black Cat arrives, saying, "What good are 9 lives if you can't burn a few?" That's where the issue ends. Which brings us to the DC portion of this week's roundup, starting with Dark Knight's death metal, Legends of the Dark Knights. Legends of the Dark Knights consists of 6 tales, each one focusing on one of the Dark Knights. The Darkest Knight and I Am Here, the Robin King and King of Pain, B-Rex and Batmanosaurus Rex, Castle Bat and This Man, This City, Batmo Beast and Road Warrior, and Baby Batman and I Shall Become. So, I Am Here begins with shortly after the brain of the Batman Who Laughs was implanted into the body, into seemingly the body of Dr. Manhattan. We go over the origin of the Batman Who Laughs, explaining he was Batman. And then the Joker pushed him too far, and he killed the Joker. As the Joker died, his body released a toxin that would make whoever killed him the next Joker. However, he became more than just the next Joker. Batman's mind and Joker's pitch black heart, he was an apex predator. Batman Who Laughs is a Batman who always wins. He explains that when Barbados came to him, he had fully tamed and leashed his world. There was nothing left for him to conquer. But Barbados taught him the nature of the dark multiverse, that his world was but a dream, something temporary, an aberration that would crumble into nothing once the real Batman overcame his fear of it. Still, there was a true, stable multiverse above, where the real Batman lived, the Batman of which all Batmen down there were twisted reflections. Barbados planned to drag the multiverse down into the dark and destroy it. The Batman Who Laughs convinced him that if he wanted to bring the world to heal, he'd need more dark Batmen. And so, the Batman Who Laughs found his first Dark Knights: Red Death, Murder Machine, Dawnbringer, Devastator, Drowned, and the other one whose name I can't remember. However, the Batman Who Laughs saw that Barbados was part of a grand cosmic hierarchy with power beyond his comprehension. Predicted this that Barbados' actions would free the Great Mother of the Multiverse, Perpetua. So, the Batman who has engineered a plan to usurp her chosen right-hand man, Lex Luthor, so that as she rose, he would rise with her. But he knew he still lacked the power to fight back should Perpetua turn on him. And he also knew he could only keep the heroes of Earth-Zero at heel for so long. The Wonder Woman would rebel and cut him down. And she did. And there ended the story of the Batman Who Laughs. But he is not the Batman Who Laughs. Not anymore. He is something else. Something made from the one dark Batman he told no one about. He explains that while he was the Batman Who Laughs, traveling in the dark multiverse in search of nights, he saw one echo of Batman he hid from everyone. A Bruce Wayne who, after encountering an incredible energy tied to a button from another universe, decided to replicate that power. And so, on this Earth, Bruce Wayne built an intrinsic field generator, unaware of its true power, what it might lead to. He watched it. They both watched the experiment begin to go awry, and as Bruce went in to set it right, which is when the Batman Who activated the machine. It took months for that Batman to pull his body back together molecule by molecule. Power strong enough to create and destroy worlds. A Batmanhattan. Within seconds, the Batman Who lobotomized him. And so, Batman Who Laughs now has his path to ascension. Now, you see Batman Who Laughs, or The Darkest Night, and, well, looking, well, like an amalgamation of Dr. Manhattan and Bruce Wayne, wearing Speedo. Now, he feels his awareness expanding as his mind takes hold of its new body, and he is ready to take his final form. So he reaches out and feels the dark multiverse, as if we're all a part of him. He's aware not only of his entire life, but the life of every twisted Batman in the dark. He claims that he'll pull aspects into himself from the most terrifying, most vicious, and be something new. He'll be a culmination of human evil and a cosmic weapon of infinite power, designed to win at any cost. He draws on the many lifetimes of experience and knowledge. And so he explores Batman after Batman. In his own way, he becomes each of them. He learns from their dark nightmare lives. Each of the ways a Batman could be pushed to fail. It's like when he trained to be Batman all over again. But all at once. All these dark reflections, these dark nights are his teachers, yet he is the greatest. He is greater than any of them. And he stitches their experience and skills into his mind, becoming more and more powerful. He pushes deeper into the dark, until suddenly it dawns on him. A revelation. Clear as day, a simple truth he never saw before this moment. Batman has always been a reactionary idea. He was born in response to those gunshots in the alley. And just as he is a reaction, so too are all the twisted Batman of the dark. Even the most dominant is still a reaction to some fear that has shaped him, built him into a newer, crueler incarnation, perfectly designed to overcome it. Now, understanding this, the Batman Who Laughs, The Darkest Night, knows that he is not a Batman of any kind, not a Batman Who Laughs, not a Batmanhattan, not even a culmination of all dark Batman. He is more, and to be more, he must not be a reaction. He must be the thing that causes the reaction. He will be the bullet. The multiverse will be the dark alley, and its worlds will fall like pearls before him. His mind crackles with cosmic awareness, and he has a sense of the power that will soon be in his grasp, and he sees what he still has to overcome to take it all in hand. The speech with a touch of Manhattan, Wally West. A multiverse that laughs, every planet like a bullet to be fired at gods like Perpetua. A multiverse that will eat all others, reality after reality, until there is no being in the omniverse but him, the darkest night of all. And so, as he comes to facing the three Alfreds who did perform the brain surgery, he says but one word. Bang. Also, neat point, the other dark Batman, we see one that appears to be utilizing LexCorp technology, namely Lex's battle suit. I'm not sure. There's a few I'm not. There's one where he's a member of the Court of Owls. There's a couple I'm not entirely sure what the concept is. One that seems to be more based around Prometheus, a brutal cannibalistic caveman Batman. Well, I kind of want to say caveman, but I'm not entirely certain. Mr. Freeze inspired Batman, a Bane inspired Batman. Well, we're then brought to our second tale, King of Pain, which begins with Alfred narrating. He's using the medical notes recorder of the late Master Wayne. So not in his wildest dreams would he ever imagine that Wayne Manor, his home for so many years, would become an actual battleground, but it has, and a bloodstained one at that. The most sickening fact in all this is that the true enemy was him. Every omen and sign Alfred ignored because Bruce was his boy too. And only by the grace of God was he able to subdue him momentarily. And so in case his efforts are in vain, he wants to leave something behind to warn Gotham, and his prince is quite mad. The city won't believe him, as Bruce is too smart to let it show. But if he's going to be honest, the darkness was always there. We see baby Bruce smacking Alfred with a rattle, having stabbed a teddy bear, killing a frog with his hands, roasting marshmallows over a burning car, dissecting a still living bat, using microwaving a cat, pushing a painter pushing a painter's ladder down, beating on another child. But the night that truly sealed it was that night when the Waynes went to the movies. In this reality, they went to see Beware the Grey Ghost. Alfred decides he would meet the Waynes there. He arrives a few minutes early, but Officer James Gordon basically says, hey, yeah, the movie's going to let out soon, but, this is a no parking zone. However, the car's not waiting for them. Bruce is a little mad because he wouldn't have come to the movies if he had known it would be black and white. The blood looks fake. So the Waynes, of course, go down the alley when Joe Chill to stop them, wielding a Glock 17, which Bruce remarks is a good choice as it carries 2 more rounds in a Beretta and is half a pound lighter. And so, Bruce kills Joe Chill before picking up his gun and shooting his parents, placing the gun in the hands of Joe Chill. He admires his handiwork before police show up. And the next day, young Bruce is looking over his parents' assets and holdings. When Officer Gordon comes. Apparently he got someone had shared some files with him to his phone. They were encrypted, but Gordon's daughter helped him open them. And if what they say about Bruce is true, however, he's cut off by a crossbow bolt through the throat, hitting the jugular. Bruce then goes after Alfred. However, Alfred had a tranquilizer gun and used it. putting several tranq darts into him. When Bruce smashes through the window, in something resembling a Batman costume, before bludgeoning Alfred to death and dubbing himself the Robin King. Which brings us to our next tale, Batmanosaurus Rex. It's narrated by one of the villains of Arkham. We thought him mad. What else could he be but mad? They say his own Batcave swallowed him alive, crushing him beneath its collapsing stone walls. All he had done and been, and left undone, came down to this. His treasure vault became his tomb. Gnashing his teeth in the darkness, his hands broken, arms useless, that magnificent brain still firing electric against the darkness rising in his eyes. He wasted so much time on theme and thesis, plots and plans. He wasted so much of his life on keeping us alive. Why be a bat when one can be a man? Why be a man when one can be a king? All hail the B-Rex. Once we thought him mad, but now we know. And that's a quick shot of B-Rex, which is absolutely insane. Which brings us to This Man, This City. Arkham has been destroyed. Commissioner Barbara Gordon assassinated. The streets are littered with gangs, mobsters, and monsters. Gotham is broken. And aged Bruce Wayne realizes it's time for him to do something to fix it. And when Batman, Damian Wayne, arrives, not doing well. Admitting he's failed in protecting the city. But Bruce tries to reassure him in a roundabout manner. And says maybe he can still help Bruce. Maybe he can still help Damian. He explains that in the 1600s, when Gotham was still young, it would see the fierce rise of a very deadly cult. This cult was ascribed to one main mantra, that the ancient Native American bat god they worshipped demanded their undying devotion and their sacrifice. They believed the greater the love for the sacrifice, the more their god would reward them. The very blood of those sacrifices soaked into the land, bringing them closer to it, making them part of it, making them part of Gotham itself. And at first, Damian figures, you want me to perform an ancient demonic ritual from an ancient book to save Gotham? And, well, no. But then Damian gets it. Damian is to be a sacrifice. Bruce and Damian hug, and Bruce stabs him. Makes the sigil of the cult on the floor, and admits that there's nothing he loves more than Gotham. And so every part of what he loves, every crack in every sidewalk, every street light on every corner, every brick in every building, is him now. In order to save the city, he has become the city. He has been and always will be Gotham. Which brings us to Road Warrior. On a dystopian Earth, gas shortages, and, well, Batman's kind of gone a bit, turned into a bit of a tyrant, putting a part of himself in every piece of technology that runs the world. He could see everything, and he was everything. Became a part of the lives of the people. He was at every corner of their minds, providing comfort and security to the people. And then the people revolted. They didn't want safety or security. The fools only wanted freedom with all its terrible vices. He was systematically wiped from the planet, his digital, technological, and physical self destroyed. Except for one part of him. All the imprints of his old self are inside a monster truck. He rides alone now for the world, for and for Gotham. They didn't need him to show them the way, and he will rise again. Which brings us to our finale. I shall become. Explains that when Batman's body died, his mind fled in cyberspace. Downloads him into a genetically engineered human body prepared for just such an eventuality. He's got years of experience behind him, and he lives once more free to train and plot his revenge. He'll be the Batman of 2 lifetimes. Slight problem, though. He ended up with the body of a newborn baby. 18 inches tall, 10 pounds wet, totally uncoordinated. Head too heavy to lift. He can crawl, he can gurgle. He's got a soft spot on his skull where a foot would potentially poke a finger into his brain. And he's got incontinence. But he does have his ultimate weapon. The cry of a baby. And that is where the issue ends. Oh, that was seriously, that was actually a really great book. So, yeah. Moving on, however, to DCeased, Dead Planet #2. Where we left off, the Justice League, having left the Earth 5 years previously, returned. Looking for survivors. They got survivor, I say survivors, answering the distress signal from Cyborg. Or at least what's left of Cyborg. During the fight, however, after finding Cyborg, the dead arrived, and as Cyborg was trying to explain there is a cure, Wonder Woman bit Ollie, turning him, and then Green Canary, in her grief, grabbed the sword that Ollie had been carrying, went to kill Wonder Woman with it, only for Superman to get in between the blade and Wonder Woman. Though, did kill Wonder Woman. So we begin in Chicago. Roy Harper is doing what he can to help people. When Fire of the Justice League Unlimited shows up and lives up to her name, setting Roy on fire. Yeah, I was a little pissed at that too. Shadow Pact then arrives, led by Constantine. And Zatanna extinguishes Fire's flame by simply saying, "Flame off." Then Swamp Thing shows up. He wants to talk to John about a garden. So, to end John's distraction, Swamp Thing promptly kills the infected and explains that there's another garden in Australia. Though Constantine's kind of like, Australia was dangerous before the undead. He's not going there. And Swamp Thing told him to shut the fuck up, which surprises the entirety of the Shadow Pact. But Swamp Thing explains there are 2 gardens. Poison Ivy's garden in Gotham, and another which he's cut off from. The other is screaming and crying out. He cannot ignore it any longer. But Swamp Thing explains there are humans there, and if Constantine would like them, to survive what Swamp Thing has to do, well, Constantine should probably go with him. So Red Hood and Ravager take the survivors to Gotham. And initially Harley is thinking that the Shadow Pact was killed. But Ravager explains to her that it went to Australia. That's all. Apparently also the Tower of Fate is in the garden as well. It's explained that something is coming. And so Mary Marvel and Kent Nelson get ready to meet this, what's coming head on. It's Wonder Girl and Superman. He won't stop bleeding. And Dr. Fate explains that Superman's wound is beyond medicine. It's magical. So then Green Canary arrives with remains of the League's ship. And Damian and Jason run into each other and have a bit of a reunion. Jason and Damian actually asked Jason, are you okay with the fact that I'm Batman now? And Jason simply says, your father made a lot of very bad decisions, but this is not one of them. However, to explain, when Green Canary tries to bring Green Arrow in, it's explained that he doesn't enter. They've kept the anti-life equation outside for 5 years. But Green Canary won't leave him alone. Ivy states quite clearly that if she won't leave him alone, then she can leave with him. Cyborg explains that there is a cure, however. But they don't yet know what the cure is. And so, Cyborg begins explaining what he knows to Harley. He spoke the anti-life equation, and also the cure was inside of him. Dr. Fate says that they have access to magic and science, and now they have hope. They will find the cure. Wonder Girl walks off, and Batman goes to join her, asking if she's okay. She's not. She accepted that Wonder Woman was gone, but to lose Diana twice. Damian takes off his cowl and tells Cassie that he's here for her before they kiss. In Australia, the Shadow Pact has arrived. Surrounding the garden that they've gone to look after is apparently a moat of blood, hellfire surrounding it, and legions of undead. Apparently the moat is shifting, however, when Detective Chimp realizes it's not blood. It's Plastic Man. Who kills all members of the Shadow Pact except, though seemingly not, at least not yet, Detective Chimp and Swamp Thing and Constantine. Though someone inside the garden is watching with cold, uncaring eyes. That's where the issue ends. Because I've really been loving the DCeased story. Which brings us to our final book of the week, Strange Adventures number 4. Where we left off, public perception was kind of turning against the Capes for, investigating Adam Strange. The issue begins with flashback to the war, Adam leading the Iranian forces against the Picts. And in the present, Mr. Terrific is coming to Rand to do some research on everything. And so he lands. It's explained that Chief Minister Stardust has been called away on urgent business. But Terrific takes him to the library to do his research. Though it is explained that none of the Pict texts have been translated. They don't know the language. Another flashback. Adam Strange meets with Hal Jordan. Well, apparently Hal went to ask the Guardians for, hey, can we help out with what's going on Rand? And the Guardians kind of just said, yeah, we're not taking a side here. We can't, okay? Of course, this makes Adam rather angry and to argue, and Adam storms out of the bar. After Mr. Terrific reads through the Rand documents, he asks the person at the library to, he can see the Pict files. He can't seem to call them up. Well, the guy at the library says, well, none was translated, so, they have a suicide before capture policy, so, no one can even give us a phrase. And so, yeah, apparently on the way to Rand, Mr. Terrific taught himself Pict. They're the smartest man on the planet. Another flashback. It's a week before the Zeta Beam comes back to Earth. And Adam is asking for if Superman could fly him to Rand. A JL rocket will take more than a week. Superman can give him a couple of days. However, Superman has to turn him down. War World's approaching, and well, Superman's got to meet it. Rand is a few days journeying even at Superman's speed. But a trip right now will leave all of Earth vulnerable. And, Adam even saying, you're Superman, you're supposed to help me. Though Superman explains that no, he has to help everyone, which means making a decision about how to help the most people. He's not always right, but he does have to decide, and right now he's staying. With Superman saying, it's a war, there will be casualties. In a week you'll be there. And Superman has faith that Adam will save the world. We'll save Rand. Then Adam punches Superman and promptly breaks his hand. Back on Rand, Mr. Terrific is awoken by Radiant security. He uses his T-spheres, however, to knock out the security personnel who've been sent to bring him in, and then goes to talk to Sardath. In the flashback, Adam is brought back to Rand and ends up in a battlefield of the dead. On Rand, Sardath and Mr. Terrific discuss things, and apparently Sardath was informed that Terrific requested access to documents that he was told would be unavailable to him. And Mr. Terrific explains that he was told there was a problem, so he solved the problem. And he straight up calls what he did read nothing more than propaganda. And so, he asks Sardath, where's Aaliyah Strange? Stardust slaps him, and, well, being a man of fair play, Terrific slaps him back. And cut to the flashback where Adam and his wife have new jetpacks. People are waiting for revenge and for Adam Strange. And they fly off together. Back on Earth, in the present, Alana Strange is waiting for Mr. Terrific at his home. Apparently she talked to her father. She's shocked that Terrific hit her father, actually. And apparently doing so was actually a form of blasphemy for Rand. And it's quite likely that Mr. Terrific won't be digging up dirt on Adam on Rand anytime soon. And to be fair, it's probably not the best place for him either. Terrific tells her to get the hell out of his house, and Alana tells him that it's time for him to be done. The issue ends with a flashback panel of Alana saying, "Always and everything for Rand." And that's it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.